The rain hammered against Jake's windshield as he drove home from his second shift, his shoulders aching from another 12-hour day at the garage. Most men would have driven past the stranded Mercedes on that deserted highway without a second thought, eager to get home to dry clothes and a warm bed. But Jake wasn't most men. Single fatherhood had taught him that everyone deserves help, especially on nights when the universe seems determined to break you down. He pulled over, his beat-up truck sputtering to a stop behind the luxury sedan. Through the rain-streaked window, he could see a woman in an elegant business suit, her phone pressed against her ear, frustration written across her face. As Jake approached with his toolbox, she lowered the window just enough to speak. "Thank you for stopping. I've been here for 40 minutes. My phone's almost dead, and the towing company says it'll be another hour at least." Her voice carried the crisp authority of someone used to solving problems, now confronted with one she couldn't fix with a phone call or a credit card. "Let me take a look," Jake said, already moving toward the hood. "Pop it open for me." As the woman stepped out to release the hood latch, something about her made Jake pause. Even soaked by rain, even with mascara slightly smudged from the stress of the evening, there was something achingly familiar about her. When their eyes met under the harsh glow of his truck's headlights, the world seemed to tilt sideways. "Jake." Her voice cracked, a hairline fracture in that professional composure. "Jake Morrison." He felt his breath catch. Emma Chen. 23 years dissolved in an instant. They were no longer a mechanic and a CEO on a rainy highway. They were teenagers again, sitting on the hood of his first car, mapping out dreams bigger than their small town could contain. Emma had wanted to change the world through technology. Jake had wanted to open his own garage someday, maybe raise a family. They'd promised to do it all together. Then life had happened. Emma's scholarship to Stanford. Jake's father's illness that kept him home. Letters that grew fewer and farther between. Promises that proved easier to make than to keep. "I can't believe it's you," Emma said, and Jake noticed her hands were shaking. "After all these years, what are the odds?" Jake managed a smile, though his heart was hammering. "Let me look at your car. We can catch up after I get you back on the road." He bent over the engine, grateful for something familiar to focus on while his mind reeled. The problem was simple enough, a loose battery cable and a failed alternator. Nothing he couldn't fix temporarily to get her where she needed to go. "You're still fixing cars," Emma said softly, watching him work. It wasn't a question, but there was something in her tone Jake couldn't quite read. Disappointment. Regret. "I'm good at it," he replied, his jaw tightening. "I have my own garage now. Morrison's Auto Repair. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. Keeps a roof over my daughter's head." "You have a daughter." The surprise in Emma's voice stung more than it should have. "Lily. She's 7. Smart as a whip, obsessed with dinosaurs and soccer. Lost her mom to cancer 3 years ago." Jake kept his eyes on the engine. These facts came easier when he didn't have to watch people's reactions. The pity. The uncomfortable sympathy. "Jake, I'm so sorry." Emma's hand touched his arm, and the gesture was so achingly familiar that for a moment, Jake was 19 again, believing that love could conquer logistics and distance and diverging dreams. "It's life," he said, straightening up and wiping his hands on a rag. "Try it now." Emma slid back into the driver's seat and turned the key. The engine roared to life. She stepped back out, and for a moment, they just stood there in the rain, two people who had once known each other better than anyone else in the world, now strangers connected only by memory. "This is just a temporary fix," Jake said. "The alternator's shot. You'll need a real replacement." "Where are you heading?" "I can follow you, make sure you get there safely." "The Riverside Inn. I'm in town for a few days. Business meetings." Emma paused, then words tumbled out in a rush. "I own Chen Technologies now. We develop software for automotive systems, actually. Partnering with manufacturers to create better diagnostic tools, more efficient engines. I've been meaning to reach out to local repair shops, get their input on what actually works in the field versus what looks good on paper." She laughed, a sound caught between embarrassment and wonder. "I'm babbling. I can't believe it's really you." Jake felt something twist in his chest. Emma had done it. She'd changed the world, just like she'd said she would. And here he was, still in their hometown, still fixing cars with his hands instead of his mind. "That's amazing, Em. Really. You always said you'd do big things." "Jake." She stepped closer, rain streaming down her face. I never forgot you. I never forgot us. The words hung between them, heavy with everything unsaid over 23 years. Jake thought about the letters he'd written and never sent. The times he'd searched her name online, watching from a distance as she built an empire. The moment he'd wanted to call her when Sarah died, reaching for a connection that no longer existed. Why didn't you ever come back? The question escaped before he could stop it. Even just to visit. I kept thinking maybe one summer, maybe Christmas. Because I was a coward, Emma said, her voice breaking. Because I convinced myself that you'd moved on, built a life, found someone who didn't abandon you for her ambitions. Because every time I thought about coming back, I was terrified of what I'd see in your eyes. Resentment, regret, or worse, nothing at all. Jake stared at her, this woman who was both a stranger and the girl who'd owned his heart. You didn't abandon me. We were kids. You went after your dreams. That's what you were supposed to do. And you? Emma asked. What happened to your dreams? They changed. Jake thought of Lily, probably asleep now at his sister's house, her favorite dinosaur tucked under her arm. My dad got sick my first semester at community college. Lung cancer. Mom couldn't work and take care of him, so I came home. Took over his repair shop. By the time he passed, you were already changing the world, and I was just trying to keep mine from falling apart. You raised a daughter alone while running a business. That's not just anything, Jake. Then Sarah got pregnant. We got married. It was good, not fireworks, maybe, but good. Steady. Then cancer, just like my dad. And suddenly I was alone with a 4-year-old who'd just lost her mother. Jake wiped rain from his face, though it might have been tears. So yeah, my dreams changed. These days, I dream about making Lily's lunch without forgetting the juice box. About keeping the garage afloat long enough to pay for her college someday. About being enough for her, even though I know I'm not. Jake, you're more than enough. Emma's eyes were bright with tears. Do you know what I dream about? I dream about the life I might have had if I'd been brave enough to come back. If I'd believed that love was worth more than success. I have a company worth $500 million, and I go home to an empty penthouse every night. I've had relationships, but none of them were you. The confession hung in the air between them. Jake's phone buzzed, his sister texting that Lily was asleep, asking when he'd be home. His daughter. His responsibility. His world. I don't know what this is. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to say that maybe stopping to help a stranger was fate. That maybe we get second chances. Emma pulled a business card from her purse, pressed it into his palm. I'm here for 3 more days. Have dinner with me tomorrow. Bring Lily. I want to meet the little girl who has a dad willing to stop in a thunderstorm to help a stranger. Please. Jake looked down at the card, elegant and expensive, everything he wasn't. Then he thought about the story he'd tell Lily someday about her old man and the chances he took. About the importance of staying open to possibility, even when life has taught you to guard your heart. Okay, he said. Tomorrow. But I'm picking the restaurant. Somewhere Lily likes, with crayons on the tables and chicken fingers on the menu. Emma laughed, and it was the sound of summer nights 23 years ago. Perfect. As Jake followed her Mercedes to the inn, his truck rattling in the rain, he thought about the strange paths life takes. How a broken-down car on a lonely highway could become a bridge across decades. How the girl you loved could become the woman you might love again. How sometimes, the simple act of stopping to help a stranger could save not just their night, but maybe, just maybe, both your futures.